We welcome you to the Big Apple, the Empire State, New York City, home to these New York Gargoyles. They are 2-0 against their visiting opponent, the Boston Rebels. Will the Rebels break through today? We will find out. Boston Tea Party versus the Empire State. Camera duty here with DJ Kilgannon and Alex West at SFLM HQ. DJ, what have you got for us, my friend? And it is a pleasure to be with you on this Thursday evening.
Absolutely, Cameron. A pleasure as always, man. And, this week it's going to come down to a few things. I think Boston kind of just needs to lock in and try and limit the turnovers as best they can. They've kind of struggled with it a little bit. And, if they could do that, it'll start looking pretty good.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a good time. This game, these two obviously very familiar with each other now. Third time they're meeting this season. And again, even though that they have had a lot of time to play against each other, always a wild card up their sleeve. So, folks, get ready, get set, have fun. And let's get started. 90 minutes or so of football starting right now. We get a return here. Out to the 41-yard line is where Boston will take place. Let's say hello to the starting lineup. Dakota West, quarterback. Halfbacks, Jacob Brewer and Lenore West. The fullback, Bismarck Wright. The wide receivers, Joey Hightower, Curtis Friesen, and Angel Maldonado. We'll stop right there for this play on 1st and 10. West to throw. Check down. To Bismarck Wright. Back to the line of scrimmage, DJ.
Yeah, pretty early stop there on that play. And, it's a good start. There's a lot of game left to play, but if they can shut it down that consistently all night, it'll look pretty good.
On second down, we'll get right back to the starting lineup in just a moment as West throws pressure in their face, and it is complete to Mike Kleineck. And with that, this new fresh set of downs will finish the offensive starting lineup. We'll pick up on the tight ends, Mike Kleineck, who you just seen, and Django West. The offensive line, Oliver Tarask, Demon Pickle, and Portia Henson to round out Boston's lineup. And good evening to each and everyone out there in the chat. Frank Doom, Wade Phillips, Jordan Goodman, Mike Kleineck, who just made that pass, and Jimmy Hatsis all here this evening, as well as Donde Stalacarne. Good to see you guys. First and 10, they go to the ground game. Not much there for Bismarck, and it's 2nd and 11, DJ.
Yeah, not much room to run at all. And, Boston has had some pretty decent struggles running the ball throughout this entire season. And they've been kind of leaning on the pass attack, and it's kind of been got the gears turning so far.
Oh, just a little far out ahead of the intended target, Joey Hightower. Let's quickly look at this New York defense on 3rd and 11. Defensive tackles, Big Snacks and Anthony Ellison. Defensive end, Kano Fortson and P. Fudor. The linebackers, Brogan Speraw, Finn Steele, and Jasad Grackleflint. The corners, Andre Brown and Eric Belmont. And the safeties, Tyler Highfield and Elliott Waddell. A big 3rd and 11 coming up. West dropping back, throwing deep, and it's complete to the end zone. Are they going to catch him? Yeah, they just bring Curtis Friesen down. A great pitch and catch. And we saw Friesen come alive last week with a lot of really spectacular plays.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He had himself a great week of football last week, and another nice play there, catching it right in front of the safety, Elliott Waddell, who thankfully for New York was able to track him down and make the tackle, the touchdown-saving tackle that is, and leaving Boston in the red zone now. That's a tiny center they have out there.
Oh, yeah, it is. Beautiful evening here in New York, and for Boston, a really good start. Drop off over the middle to Django West. It's 2nd and goal, but some positive yards there.
Both of these offenses have two really young You know, a lot of young offensive players. They have a lot of new SFLM rookies that this is their first season, and they're really showing out.
On second down, with the carry into the end zone, touchdown, Lenore West, her first carry of the evening. She's 1 for 1 on the day.
And Cameron, this is something we talked about in the pregame, before we hopped on the air, that if Boston wants to take control of this game and try and pull out a win for the first time this season against New York, that they're going to have to take control early. And for them, I mean, getting the early touchdown is going to look really good on their resume going forward because, this team, they seem to do a lot better in the first half of games. That's usually where they get the most points. And on the other side of that, New York is really a second half team. Like in week 4, the last time these two teams played, the score was 42-10 in New York's favor. But 35 of those points for New York, Cameron, were scored in the second half.
Yeah, incredible stats, DJ. Thank you. We did mention that before going on air, and you're seeing Boston come out, like you said, this is one of the advantages of seeing these teams so often. You start to learn, start to tweak certain things that you know that your competitor does so well. So now Boston knows they got to keep their foot on the gas. And we'll see what New York can do here. Starting from the 30-yard line, quarterback Jordan Goodman. He's made a lot of noise.
Again.
Yeah, this has become a staple, hasn't it, DJ?
It absolutely has, and to no fault of them, it's been working to perfection.
5 wide, Goodman to throw with all kinds of time. Tip and incomplete. Very well could have been intercepted by Zion Waddles.
Yeah, very easily could have, but a touchdown saving play for sure. If the receiver there for the Gargoyles would have caught that one, there would have been nothing but green in front of him, and thankfully Zion Waddles was able to make the big play.
We'll introduce this New York squad after this play. 2nd and 10 coming up. New York got the black and orange tonight. Very intimidating look for the Gargoyles. Screen pass out of the backfield for Dominic Kane. 2-yard gain, 3rd and 8 coming up. We mentioned Jordan Goodman and halfback Dominic Kane. Also in the lineup, halfback Tommy Thompson and fullback Kojiro Rivers. The wide receivers Michael Goodman, Carol Needfelt, Drac Knightfield, and Ivan Lazardi. The tight ends S.C. Meagle and James Jennings. And the offensive line is Sam Falco, D'Angelo De Jesus, and Kenny Cook. And speaking of cooking, how about this? On 3rd down, Jordan Goodman's going to look Michael Goodman's way. It's just too hard to stop a train like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That father-son connection is just something to behold. And a shout out to Jordan Goodman there. There was a lot of pressure coming from that Boston front. And as we know, just some of the best in the entire league. Throughout the 2 games that they've played, Goodman has been sacked 8 times by this Boston front. And hopefully, New York's offensive line is able to stop that Boston front. New York is going to be assuredly in the driver's seat.
That's one of the great things about this league, the connections that the players make, and father-son connection, it's a special thing. Goodman, and this time getting in on it is Carol Needfelt to the end zone, and the touchdown. Again, just like you got a crystal ball, you mentioned it, DJ, how New York, this 5 wide set, so tough to stop.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so lethal, and Carol Needfelt it's all about attacking the zone, right? They have 2 receivers going up that, up the field there in the same area. James Jennings kind of towards the middle and Carol Needfelt on the right. And when you only have 1 safety back there, that safety's going to have to pick and choose who they're going for. Safety there chooses to cover James Jennings, leaving Carol Needfelt completely open. And that's just textbook, breaking down the zone, throwing it where you need to. And Needfelt had a big breakout game, last week. Didn't have a touchdown last week, but had 131 yards to boast and already getting a touchdown this game.
The extra point is good, and we are all tied up at 7. We welcome you in, folks. Some of you just joining the chat. We thank you for hanging out with us. Expecting a good one here today. So far, it's off to a heck of a start. Boston getting a good return to the 32-yard line, and You know, we've already highlighted how Boston needs to come out right out of the gate strong. They did that. New York
Yeah.
responded. They did that. And now it's just kind of like New York is saying, all right, I'm passing the baton off to you. Let's
Mhm.
see just how hard you can run.
Yeah, I mean, these guys in Boston, they just got to keep the football in their hands. More often than not, when you talk about New York, you're talking about how prominent that passing attack is. I feel like that's the focus of most people. But in the last, in that Week 4 game they had against Boston, there were 6 turnovers, Cameron, in that one game. 2 of them were fumbles on special teams, showing just how good that special teams unit is for New York. And Ron Henderson, one of the only special teams players that is contracted in the SFLM, along with 4 interceptions in that game, 2 of them being for pick sixes.
Yeah, we were able to call that game.
Yeah,
And, you know, we were just amazed at how well that unit was working. Boston are doing a really good job with a variation of plays. You've seen them over the middle to Friesen on that prior play, and then Lenore West in the screen game, getting them another first down there.
Yeah, and they really like to utilize these backs out of the backfield. It's one thing I really like about their offense is, you know, they sometimes they do struggle in the run game, but they really try and continue to get their backs involved. And if it's not in the run game, they always throw it to them in the flats.
Now, throwing
Ooh,
tipped and contested. Just odd Grackleflint there had his hands all over that one, and we know that guy can make some big waves.
yeah, big waves indeed. Talking about those pick sixes from that game, Week 4 game, Jasad Grackleflint was one of the guys who had one of those pick sixes, took it all the way back to the house, and he is certainly a linebacker to watch when it comes to the pass coverage.
About halfway through this first quarter. Second down, West throwing, finding the
Ooh.
wide open man. That's Friesen along the sideline. A really acrobatic catch there. I mean, having to kind of contort his body to come up with that one.
Yeah, I mean, Captain Cold there beating the press and finding an area in the zone right past the sticks. Just a really nice little out route to the open zone.
You get a glimpse of the New York skyline there behind this beautiful stadium.
Coaches.
We always love it getting to come up here and watch some football in the Big Apple. West to throw over the middle. Ooh, that looked like that was going to be dangerous, but somehow Hightower was on the other side for it.
Yeah, and we had talked about how young this offensive core really is for Boston. They have 2 SFL reinforcements in skill positions, being Jacob Brewer and Bismarck Wright, but the receiver core, completely new SFLM rookies. The tight ends, all returning rookies. And, you know, Dakota West, new SFLM rookie themselves, and does a really good job of getting those young guys involved and showing their spotlight.
Plenty of time. Great job by that offensive line. Like with the throw deep, and it is contested, but incomplete, going for Mike Klenecht in the home run ball.
Yeah, Klenecht has really been something to watch this season in Boston, Cam. He had a huge game just a couple weeks back, and ever since then, he's just hasn't looked back.
2nd and 10. Pressure coming now, throwing acrobatically again. I love the throw off the back foot there, and finding Hightower able to stick it in there. Good job by Dakota West.
Yeah, and you can see the defensive lineman diving at Dakota West, and that's why they threw it off their back foot. Kano Fortson was completely through the offensive line there and tried to dive at Dakota West and make the big play, but unfortunately for them, Dakota West just read that pressure like a book and made a great throw.
2 receivers lined at the bottom of the screen. We'll see if West looks that way. They do. And I think we're going to get our first call here of the day. Obviously, it's going to be pass interference on the defense.
I'd like to see another look at that. I don't know about you, Cam, but it looked pretty close.
Yeah, and we're going to get a chance.
Oh, yeah, maybe it's that touch right there.
Yeah.
Could have been.
Kind of, I guess you could say, impeding the route.
Yeah. Yeah, just a little bit, because I thought the hit looked clean as the ball got there, but yeah, it must have been that little push off right before the hitch, and you know it definitely is going to be meaningful, giving Boston 3 easy attempts at another touchdown.
On 1st and goal, they try to push the pile here. They do. kind of their own version of the tush push there. Bismarck Wright getting him behind and just shoving that lineman into the end zone for the touchdown.
Yeah, Bismarck Wright fighting through tackles there. Just saw Grackleflint was all over the play. But Bismarck Wright is a big dude. He is, I mean, he's 6 foot, but he is 240 pounds of just straight muscle mass, and he is going to fight through tackles just like we saw there.
Heck of a play. And Boston, again, just doing what we said they need to do. They're keeping their foot on the gas. 2 drives, 2 touchdowns. The extra point is also good. And another thing, and see if you've picked up on this, DJ, but their time of possession is shorter than what it typically has been the last couple of weeks. They're moving the ball with more efficiency, even quicker.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I was thinking the same thing because more often than not, Boston tends to try and throw in a few more runs than we're seeing right now. The run game hasn't been too successful more often than not, but clearly in the red zone right now, it's balling out. But it seems like leading up to the red zone, maybe they've kind of put the run game in a back seat and kind of focused on more of the passing game. And right now, it's really, really showing that it was a good decision.
So New York, again, the ball back in their corner, down by 7. Camera duty here with DJ Kilgannon and Alex West at SFLM headquarters this evening. Jordan Goodman with time. He surveys. He throws, almost intercepted right now. This Boston defense doing a nice job. And that was Jimmy Hatsis.
Yeah, Jimmy Showtime Hatsis on the big defensive play there. And you don't see many of those ill-advised throws from Goodman, but that was one of them. In the series between these two squads, he's only thrown 1 interception. And, besides that, he's been relatively clean passing the ball. And that was almost a pretty big mistake. But Boston's looking like a new squad coming into this first half. This first quarter, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, the defense, too, the DJ is getting a little bit of pressure. They haven't brought him down, but they're having to make him move out. And we've got a flag on the play. Is that going to be a delay of game?
Oh, it is.
Oh, Goodman not able to get the snap off. And, well, that's going to be big. I think that's the first time we've seen that out of this New York squad this year.
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen that in a while, I'll say, Cameron. And all the in all of the SFLM games I've called this season, I don't recall there being a delay of game call.
Yeah, agreed, as a matter of fact. 3 receivers to the bottom of the screen, 2 to the top. That's that 5 wide set. Taking a 15. Can they make it up? Again, having to roll out to Goodman, but he throws deep home run ball for, guess who? Michael Goodman, and erases that penalty. Oh, how can you even be concerned if you lose a couple of yards when you got Michael Goodman out there?
I mean, that play almost seemed dead to rights. Jordan Goodman had so much time to throw, and there was a lot of pressure on Goodman, but he rolled out to the left, and eventually, if you give this offense that much time in the pocket, someone's going to get open. And Michael Goodman was still covered pretty well, but he's going to bring in those passes.
Yeah, absolutely. We will introduce this Boston defense right after this play. Pressure coming. It's thrown short, but it is picked up. Good job of reeling that one in, James Jennings. Let's quickly say hello to this Boston defense. The defensive tackles, May West and Landon on him. Defensive ends, Baron Went and Moss Booker. The linebackers, Morgan Brown, William Patterson, and Duncan on him. The cornerbacks, Hudson Cruz, Showtime Jimmy Hatsis, Zion Waddles, and Dondace Talacarne. Now, running right side, one of the very few ground plays you see, that's Dominic Kane. And they're going to say he got just enough for the first.
Just enough indeed. And, these guys in New York, these running backs specifically, they don't get many looks on the ground. But, Jordan Goodman tries to find them out of the backfield when they can. And these are some of the most unselfish guys in the entirety of the SFLM, I'd say. And especially on this New York team. These backs have almost fully committed to just working on blocking, clearly. And with how little he gets brought down and has in this game, it's looking good.
Pressure again in Goodman's face. Maybe had to throw that one a split second earlier than what he wanted. Andre Brown with the fingertip deflection.
Yeah, I was able to bring that one incomplete with the nice play. And Andre Brown, one of those new SFLM rookies, one of two, or that was Jimmy Hatsis, I believe, on that one, who made that play.
Correction.
But
Yeah, you're right, Hatsis. My apologies there. Goodman up and over for the first down. Thanks for the correction there, DJ. I appreciate that. That was Hatsis. But again, you look here, coming back to it, the Goodman and Goodman connection, so hard to stop.
Yep, it is. And Hatsis again tried to make a big play there, but I mean, and from his angle, he probably thought that was intercepted because the angle he was looking at the ball probably didn't see Goodman coming across the field, but Goodman was there and was able to just get in front of him.
Now we see motion again from Michael Goodman. Minute 25 remaining in this first quarter. Kane with the carry. Oh, spin move off of a defender. Got some room to run. Dragged down from behind. That was a good play indeed. That was Donde Stalacarne who made the tackle.
Yeah, and I mean these New York backs, they can run. You know, with how often they pass the ball, they're not some bad backs in that backfield. They can run when they need to. I'm putting it on full display now. Looks like Boston expecting another run with that heavy box.
Less than a minute remaining in the first. Couple of lanes that closed up after a nice run there, and that is going to be what I think they're going to say. A couple yards, 3rd and 2 on the way.
Yeah, and you know the New York of old, they're probably going to come out and heavy pass look, but right now they're running the ball a little bit more than usual. So I'm interested to see how situational play calling will determine the rest of the game.
Handoff up the middle. Dominic Kane to the end zone. Touchdown, New York. What a brooding, gutsy run.
Wow, I really like that play call. And you know, it was kind of tough to tell based on the offensive set there for New York. But nonetheless, they handed it off to Kane and let him work, and he barreled over a defender to reach the end zone. And he said, I'm going to take all the chances I can get to get into the end zone because there's not many of them, and made that really nice play there.
Yeah, and that was really cool. Like you said, we get so used to seeing, you know, Michael Goodman, Carroll Needfelt, Kingfield and Lazardi, all of those, and of course the tight ends all involved. Then you get to see down here on this side of the field towards the red zone, the ground attack just take over, and New York flexing a little bit of muscle, saying, "Hey, you know, we can do it on the through the ground or through the air or in on the ground." So it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely is, and it's a really nice change of pace for them because more often than not, like we had said, you're gonna see passes there, and you know, the more, in my opinion, the more they maybe not lean on the run, but the more they switch in the run, I think is a good way to put it. Arguably, the better that pass game is going to look.
Gotta love the chat. The comment by Frank Doom, my buddy Frank Doom, says, Kane was able.
I like that.
Indeed he was. Now West to throw on first down over the head of the intended target. It's 2nd and 10.
Yeah, trying to hit 87 there on the little fade route over the top of the defenders, but the defender was right on the heels of him and made a big hit just as the ball got there.
One receiver on either side there of Dakota West, and that was just short. Maybe able to be reeled in, but I don't think it had the strength on it that Dakota West wanted, and it's 3rd and 10.
Yeah, it's got to be scary trying to fit a ball into that tight of an area because, you know, you got to try and keep it out of the hand reach of the linebackers on either side and try to throw it a little low to make it happen, but Kleineck just not able to haul it in.
A man in motion for Boston, that is Joey Hightower, number 13, moving up to the top of the screen. Fake handoff, going deep and long. Look at that, and what just a great acrobatic grab again by Curtis Friesen.
Yeah, Captain Cold out there, looking cold as ever. Hauling that one in and contact it was. Tyler Highfield laying the wood just as the ball got there.
Curtis Friesen leaving the defense feeling a little icy as we go to the end of the end of this first quarter. All tied up at 14. It's Boston and New York. You're watching the SFLM on the Virtual Football Network. Brady White, thank you for the kind comment. It is good to be here. Good luck to you in your upcoming games, no doubt.
Ooh.
Handoff. A little different pace as we start the second quarter for Boston here. They go back to Bismarck right for a gain of 6.
Yeah, I love that play call there. After the big pass completion, you kind of get in an eye for him, strong look and hand it off to the fullback right up the middle. And if they go back to that, probably not going to work. A really heavy box from New York.
Man in motion for Boston. And back to the ground game. Now, I see this is so interesting. Lenore West now with the carry. And really kind of fascinating there, DJ, as you've seen New York transition to a ground game and Boston comes out with theirs.
Yeah, they really are. And, it's one of the times that Boston's offense is, or rushing offense, I should say, is really starting to snowball here. The more they're running, the more it's kind of taken off. And their offensive line is doing a really good job of getting those blocks downfield.
Bismarck with a stiff arm, gets him a couple more yards before he is brought down from behind for a gain of 3. I believe, was that Grackle Flint on the carry? Or on the tackle, excuse me? Yeah.
Yes, it was. And he's just a monster when it comes to stopping the run. I mean, he just all around. We talked about how good he is in the pass game, and the run game is no different.
Ooh, look at this. Finding the seam right there and just setting out there is Mike Kleinecht waiting for the pass to get to him, and it's a first down.
Yeah, and Kleinecht, in the second half of, the games that we've had, he's really showed out as one of the premier tight ends in the league. He's just really taken a big leap from those first 2 or 3 weeks where he was pretty quiet and kind of just completely blew up into a culture bomb and is just really starting to chug along.
West having to roll out, going for the end zone, and that was almost a beautiful grab by Kleinecht, just off the fingertips, trying to tiptoe it in the back of the end zone. It's 2nd and 10.
Yeah, that one takes a lot of concentration, and Kleinecht just, I mean, you got to make sure your feet are in. You got to make sure, you're not going to get hit in the back by a defender and just maybe focusing on too many other things and catching the ball, and right there, just not able to pull it in.
Pressure coming, and look at Dakota West getting obliterated by Brogan Speraw.
And Speraw is another one of those guys that have really started to show out. They have a really loaded linebacker room with Grackle Flint and Finn Steele, along with Brogan Speraw, and Speraw has not been shabby at all, and Speraw was another one of those guys that's really good in the pass game. He's another one of those guys that had a pick 6, in that other game alongside Grackle Flint.
Will this be the play that derails the Rebels? It will not! Over the shoulder of all the defenders, dropping it in there to Joey Hightower. Dakota West, what a pass. Touchdown, Boston.
And certainly looking like a Hightower there, throwing that ball right over the defenders only to where he can get it. What a nice pass there by Dakota West.
You got to be feeling good about how you're playing these 4-2 New York Gargoyles. And I've said it before. We've said it, off camera, but I'll go ahead and say it on air. This Boston team is a team that they don't play like a 2-4 team. It's just that they have lost some really close games, some really tough games. Like you said, it's kind of gotten away at the end of the game for them. But this truly the best that I have seen them so far.
Oh, no, I absolutely agree with you. And they've had a few games where they're just in slugfests and, they're just unable to pull it out. And there's a few where it's just such hard-nosed defensive battles, like a few of their early weeks in the season. And, I mean, just like the week 1 in New York, right, where they took the loss 20-14, just such a heavy defensive game. And Boston is able to hold on to those because their defense is so stout. And, now that their offense is taking the leaps it needs to score consistently, it's really looking good.
Pay attention to the score that DJ just mentioned. Week 1, they were 20-14. The score already in this game, 21-14 right now in favor of the Rebels. Toss pitch. Left side, a fumble. New York lucky to get that one back. Boy, Boston defense, what more can you say about him? Kane putting it on the ground, but he certainly had a tough hit laid on him.
Yeah, they need to take Katie Cook out for a nice dinner after that, because they just completely saved a fumble for New York, and that would have been devastating for New York. You talk about the turnovers for Boston and how New York hasn't had many of them, but that one there would have been tragic.
Morgan Brown laying the hit on Dominique Kane. Loss of one. Of all that, it's amazing it was just a 1 yard loss. And Goodman to throw with pressure, drops it off to Goodman underneath. Gets 4 on that, bringing up 3rd and 7 here. And Brady White makes a good point in the chat. He said at this pace, it's going to be a 50-point game for each team.
Yeah, and I could definitely see it. These guys are just flying so high right now, and now that with that fumble, it makes me point out Jordan Goodman. He's been dang near flawless this season, and
Look at
there
that.
you see it.
Yeah. Man,
As you say it.
need felt again. It's always good. You feel good about yourself. You force a team into a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 situation, even longer. But this really is one team that 3rd down, it doesn't matter to them.
Yep.
They do not bat an eye.
That's absolutely right. With how high flying their passing attack is, it could be 3rd and anything, and it wouldn't surprise me if they pick it up. Really.
So past midfield again. Goodman throwing underneath. That's James Jennings. I believe that's Jennings' first grab of the night. It's a gain of 5.
Yeah, and Jordan Goodman doesn't have too many of those short little passes, but is usually very accurate in doing so, and has a really high completion percentage in them. And Jordan Goodman, another facet of his game that not a lot of people talk about, is that he likes to take off a little bit, and sometimes it doesn't work out in his favor. In these 2 games that he's had with Boston, he's fumbled twice, right up there with anyone else in the league as far as fumbles go. And, if they had the fumble earlier, just going to have to try and keep that in check.
Throwing pressure in his face, and it complete. And to my knowledge, this is going to be the first punt of the day. Ron Henderson going to have to come on, and really that is a feather in the cap for Boston, able to get Goodman and company off the field there.
Yeah, and we talked about it early on, Cameron. That the biggest thing for Boston, oh goodness, is that at the 1?
That's what I'm wondering. Was he able to stay in bounds?
Oh.
No.
Oh
no,
my goodness.
They're going to stay the 20. But what a great effort by special teams.
Yeah, and New York special team has really been such a shining spot all season. They have won them games just by how dominant their special teams unit has been.
Frank Doom in the chat says Shades of Miami versus Boston College. Kosar versus Flutie in the 84 Shootout Classic. Well, it certainly has that feel early on in this one, and that's a really good comparison. The stars of yesteryear, kind of some shade being, on the stars of today. They're kind of casting their shadow, but you're really starting to see these great young football players develop into good athletes. Look at this Connect.
Yeah, just unable to hang on to that one. Wasn't able to earlier, and he was able to just break free of the coverage and really attack the zone. He got the linebacker, Grackle Flint, turned around there and was able to get past him, and Dakota West looked like he was going there all the way.
It's really interesting. Frank Doom mentioned, Flutie and Kosar, and, we have our own SFL stars here. And looking, at some of the future right here, look at that gut, that grit, getting a 5-yard gain out of what looked like it was going to be a negative screen pass. But we really do, DJ, let's talk about that, how these players have come along, and some of the players that's come along as well. I remember our first game calling Boston, and, I think Curtis Friesen was one of the only ones that was on that wide receiving core that we really heard anything out of. Now look.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've really come a long way because, like you said, that first week, Boston they didn't have a quarterback. They had Jimmy Beans leading the charge in week 1, the non-contracted guy. And, it's such a big difference now. And, you know, you let these young guys come in and fill the shoes of the development players, and it's just such an interesting concept that we have down here in the minor leagues, and I think it just works so well in tandem to help these, help develop these young guys and, help
Yeah.
some veteran presence kind of be in that locker room and teach them a few things.
3rd and 4 coming, and look at this, able to convert it. Oh my goodness.
No.
We've got Curtis Friesen on the ground, not moving. Oh my goodness, you're kidding.
Oh, he's gritting his teeth. That is not good. That looks like a pretty bad one. Thankfully, he's able to walk off the field. But that is rough if you're Boston.
Hopefully, we'll be able to get an update on Friesen and look at the stats. 5 catches, 94 yards. My goodness, almost 20 yards averaging a catch. We'll hope that he can get back into this game. Now for Boston, next man up mentality. You got Hightower having a good game. You got Django West. You got Kleinecht. You got Maldonado. Somebody's got to pick up the torch here. Oh my goodness. And I believe New York gets it, and they do. Big Snacks with a big play in the Big Apple.
No joke. A big play indeed. Able to get the... Oh my goodness. Yeah, Big Snacks forced it. Tackled him from behind and knocked it out from behind. And we talked about it. You got to try and get those turnovers in check, and that's one already. It came pretty late in the second quarter, but nonetheless, a turnover's a turnover, and now they're giving New York a chance to go back and tie it up.
Kind of had New York feeling like they were about to be on the, I don't want to say on the ropes, but really they were reeling for a moment.
Yeah.
And, what they could have done moving up the field, getting another score. Instead, it's the defense coming up big, and a good play out of the backfield by Kojiro Rivers, the fullback, to make that catch.
Yeah, you don't see that a whole lot. Kojiro running a pretty, that's a wide receiver route right there. Post over the middle, and caught it and was able to stay down and, not make any mistake there. And it was a really nice play from New York.
3 minutes remaining in this first half. Shotgun formation, and it's a handoff to Kane. Hit as he tries to spin out of it. 6-yard gain on first down.
Yeah, and Cameron, we kind of talked about how, the differences between, these minor league guys and some of the major league guys. And I have a question for you that I think will be able to jog our brains a little bit, and maybe some of the guys in the chat, and I'll go ahead and ask you after this play.
Sure. 2nd and 4, keeping it on the ground again. This time, number 28 getting in on the carry there. That is Dylan, the third string halfback there. He gets the first down.
Yeah, no, everybody in for New York in that backfield getting involved. And, now what I was going to ask you, Cam, is you look at such a lethal passing attack like Goodman to Goodman that we've seen. And I think that's really the spotlight, those two guys. And, even if it's not full, complete game domination, now they're spreading the rock around a lot more later in the season. But my goodness.
Not
Speak of the devil. No, be my guest.
The Goodman to Goodman connection over the middle didn't even look honestly like it had a chance, but when you've got Michael Goodman down there, anything's possible. Look at this again, one more time.
Are you kidding me?
Well covered, well defended. Shouldn't have been a
Perfect
touchdown.
defense.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it happened. Incredible.
That's just trust. That's just trust throwing it up to Goodman. My goodness, that had me speechless. What a catch. But so when you look at these two guys, I guess now is a great time to ask it because I talked about how they hadn't been as on fire this game, but when you look at those two guys, do you kind of see maybe glimpses of anyone in the major leagues? Like you see the connection they have? Does it kind of, spark your mind of any other connection in the major league maybe that that's been dominant this season or in the past or anything like that? Kind of just such good chemistry.
Right now, I'm thinking immediately of Lexington.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I
like
think
that.
of Gabriel Manning on the other end. That for some reason that's the first that comes to mind. My team, as far as Charleston goes, I'm starting to think about Iman Kopech and Doug Britton as we get to the 2-minute warning of this one, folks. How exciting of a game is this? Cameron Duty here with DJ Kilgan, and I'm excited to hear your answer here, DJ, on your pick.
See, the first place my head went was Christian Brown to Brett Killian. That's kind of where my head first went, because Christian Brown, one of the best in the league. Brett Killian, a Hall of Famer, has been a stud his entire career, and this season especially. And with how they've been playing, it kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
I can see that, absolutely. A very good point indeed, and as that pass is incomplete. Also, Frank Doom in the chat, I believe he also mentioned Cochran and Vandalay. That's
another good one.
Very good one. Yeah, and then, of course, Kopech and Britton and Solomon. And, Frank and I know a little bit about the work that those guys put in over there.
Yeah.
And, great question, great comparison. But you're right, I do see that out of these this Goodman to Goodman connection. And look at this. I mean,
Wow.
Coming right back. Look at Hightower. And West just saying, you know what? If Goodman can fit it in, through the eye of a needle there, so can I.
Yeah, and I like it. I like it from the Boston side. You see your lead receiver go down, and maybe you think you change the scheme. You don't. Second man up, you said it, Cameron. And Joey Hightower, he's no slouch. He's been solid all year right behind Friesen, and he makes a big play there.
We're keeping an eye out for Friesen, who we have not seen back on the field yet. That's a gain of 5. We will get an update just as quickly as we can for you. 2nd and 5, minute 10 here left in this first half. And what a first half it's been.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the ground, what a great play. Lenore West again. I do too. I thought it was perfect for the situation. They called their timeout. But I think that's good awareness, knowing where you are on the football field, plus how many timeouts you have left, and just trying to get the first down and keep the drive going here.
Yeah, absolutely, Cameron. I mean, New York there had 4 corners on that opposite side of the field, covering 3 receivers, expecting a pass. And Dakota West changed it up, handed it off to the other side, and made a big run.
Oh, and Hightower is going to be the one, I think, to step up. I mean, already got the touchdown. There's another timeout is called. They get the first there. And, again, this guy is just out here making some high-flying catches and doing a really good job. Good connection he's developed with West.
Yeah, absolutely. Shining when he gets the chance. And, I think they're going to keep it going. And Boston, in this riveting rivalry we have between these two guys, you do not want to go down 3-0. We know they don't. They want this win more than anything.
Dakota West to throw into traffic.
Oh, my goodness.
But a good 6 yards picked up by Clinette.
Talk about threading the needle.
Yeah, done it a couple of times on this drive alone. And look at this, over the head. Hightower. Incredible. 1st and goal. They're moving now. 30 seconds left. To throw to the end zone. Incomplete. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, we'll get to breathe for just a minute. 87 there, the intended target. And that's going to bring up 2nd and goal. Clock stops here with 26 seconds.
Yeah, and a really nice defensive play there. You just completely blanketed the receiver. It was Eric Belmont, I believe, who broke up that one.
West to throw again to the end zone. Get the 2nd of the day. Touchdown, Boston. 27-21. And boy, I tell you what, that's a good 2-minute drill right there.
It was. And Hightower just completely showing out right now. Every catch it felt on that drive was just in coverage and just held on to it really well.
Now that's going to leave 23 seconds on the clock. We'll see if the high-flying Gargoyles want to try anything with it. The snap, the hold, and this kick is good. 28 points in the first half for the Boston Rebels. And that was a 9-play drive, DJ, but it really didn't feel like 9 plays. Again, the tempo has really changed this game with these Rebels.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It didn't feel like a 9-play drive at all, and I think part of that is because they did such a good job of managing the clock on that drive.
Mm-hmm. Good little return here before being smacked right in the mouth was Ivan Lizardi, the Week 6 signing.
Yeah, really hard hit there. Just You know, got the stiff arm and then bang, just meets a Boston Rebel right in the hole. And if you're New York, it wouldn't surprise me if they try and go for the end zone with 3 timeouts. But with they have been running the ball a little bit. It wouldn't surprise me if they kind of just run it out and talk it over and talk about their scheme going into the half, because we talked about how good they are come the second half.
Mhm. Well, the gambler in me, I think you'd say the same thing too,
Yep.
DJ.
Yep.
You love to see them take a shot.
Absolutely. The gambler's mindset is talking for sure. And yeah, not going to, it seems.
No, looks content to let the clock run out. And they'll live to play another half. Clock down to 8 for this first half. Folks, we want to remind you, if you haven't yet, please hit that like button. No, smash that like button. And subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Make sure you got your notifications on so you won't miss a minute of SFL and SFLM action. And we thank you for your help in getting this channel growing through your support. Halftime in New York. The home team, Gargoyles, down by 7 to the Boston Rebels. We welcome you into this SFL halftime report. Cameron Duty and DJ Kilgannon. Give me your thoughts, DJ, and what do you expect to see change in the third quarter?
Both of these teams are coming out pass heavy, and I think we both expected that. What could change come the second half? If I'm New York, looking in at New York, I should say, it wouldn't surprise me if they're like, look, we have to score. They're ahead of us. New York doesn't see this a whole lot. And when they do, they're pretty quick to bounce back. It wouldn't surprise me if they're like, look, we're going to have to slow down on the run. They haven't ran a lot, but it wouldn't surprise me if they're like, look, we're going to have to put it on the back burner again, go full pedal to the floor, try and get some more points on the board. In Boston, they just need to keep doing what they're doing. They're playing some great ball.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Thank you, DJ. Of course, playing from behind, something New York doesn't do often. Of course, they've got that poise and composure. And we will work on getting that update for Friesen just as soon as we can. As a matter of fact, we're going to get a chance to do that right now.
Let's see.
And I'm interested to see Hightower doing a really good job, as a matter of fact, able to keep this thing going, this offensive unit that we have seen. Move the ball down the field. DJ, we've talked about that. Now for them in this second half, do you expect the same for them, or do you see things changing here?
It's tough because it's not too far of a game right now.
Right.
If they kept things the same, it wouldn't bug me at all. But if they're going to make some changes, I don't think it needs to be drastic changes. I think just little things.
Oh, and the poke in the eye.
Okay.
A probable return by Friesen. I think we've seen this a couple of games ago in the SFL. Mike and Gerald, I remember talking about this one. Not an injury we see all the time in the SFL. They'll get the eye patch on him, and he should be probable to return here. Curtis Friesen, they need him back out there, doing everything he can to get back. Thank you, Alex, for that update from SFLM headquarters. And a good job, good hustle by the Boston Special Teams unit. New York will start at the 26-yard line.
Yeah, and with that injury, starting to remind me, we talked about the SFL comparisons. Maybe Harish Prasad is Curtis Friesen's comparison with that injury.
In the words of the great Gerald Smith, he died.
He died. Yeah, the great Gerald Smith. He died. That's good.
That's one of my favorite SFL moments so far this season. An incomplete pass. A good job of the defense that time. Zion Waddles jarring the ball loose at 2nd and 10.
Yeah, tough hit there. And New York, what else do you expect from them coming into the second half? And again, we're seeing that 5-wide look that we're so familiar to. And, being down, it doesn't surprise me at all.
Frank Doom said, Harish with the headache. That's right. It was a headache. And so he got the Roddy Piper treatment. Talk about the poke in the eye there.
Yeah.
Oh, and incomplete. Goodman to Goodman, not able to connect that time. Now he said 3rd and 10. This team doesn't panic in 3rd and 10 situations.
No, they don't. Not at all. And, for anybody that didn't get to watch last week's game, New York's game, Goodman to Goodman was better than they had been all season. Jordan Goodman was 2 yards short of 500 How often can you say that, especially in the SFLM?
Well, you get all eyes on you when you put up
Yeah,
stats like that. Already
absolutely.
looking towards the future with this young man. Pressure coming. He stands in there. It's tipped.
Ooh.
And it's incomplete. It was almost intercepted. Having his hands all over that one was Waddles. Once more, this Boston defense certainly has came to play. And again, for the second time in 3 drives, New York is going to have to punt.
Yeah, I mean, they shut down the run well, or the pass well, excuse me. And if you're Boston, we talked about the main point of that talk was how New York is going to adjust, right? And
Yeah.
maybe thinking about how Boston is going to adjust. If you're Boston, I think just going into a full pass defense is exactly what you need because New York wants to pass. They already did the entirety of the first half, the majority of it, and if they're going to be down in the second half, certainly you expect them to go back to the pass even more.
Pretty good kick there by Ron Henderson. Decent return by Boston. They've got the ball on the 38-yard line. To the ground with Bismarck Wright. 2nd and 5. Yeah, I know he's a fullback, and we've talked about this before with Bismarck, but he's got halfback speed, and they really utilize him in that role as a third halfback.
Yeah, they absolutely do, and they feed him a lot, and it usually works out in their favor. And I think Jacob Brewer and Bismarck Wright being in the halfback room with Lenore West, I think is such an underrated trope for this team because it gives Lenore West so much room for her to grow and learn as a back.
Yeah, and there's a good play. Turn right around and give it to Lenore West. What a play. Good job on that carry to get the 1st and 10. And yeah, Curtis Friesen back in this game, DJ.
There we go. You'd love to see that. Glad his eye's okay and able to get back onto the field, and maybe that'll help him accumulate some more of those passing yards. But even without him on the field, they were doing really well, and I'm sure him being back is only going to help that matter.
An added weapon in the arsenal. Look at West. Shake off the sack. And finding Hightower. How did that happen?
Oh, my goodness. I can't believe Dakota West was able to break that sack. I think it was Finn Steele who laid that hit on them, and they just shook it off like it was nothing. And,
Unreal.
Joey Hightower didn't give up hope at all, on their quarterback being able to break that sack and still ran the route they had to and found open space, and Joey Hightower breaking the century mark.
You typically don't break a lock like Finn Steele has. Somehow West able to do it and find Hightower. Incredible. Connect the intended target there. Incomplete and takes a shot at the end of it.
Yeah, Finn Steele getting a little bit of revenge there. Laid that hit on, Mike Connect, and yeah, just kind of getting a little bit of revenge, getting a hard hit there, and I can only imagine. I mean, you run full force at a quarterback and hit him as hard as you can, and they are able to stay up. Definitely a little frustrating.
West throwing hits the back of the defender who was going in for the kill shot there on the Hightower, I believe, and it's 3rd and 10.
Yeah, and that was Andre Brown there on that pass breakup, and in the 2 games they've played, he's also accumulated an interception. He's one of the few new SFLM rookies we have on the defensive side of the ball, and really showing out right now.
Yeah, you love to see it. West throwing fumble. Oh, my goodness. 1 minute, it's in the hands of the number 87 there off the bench with the reception. Coughs it up. There's Brown, as you mentioned, getting a chance to come up with, we're going to call that, I guess, a fumble recovery. Let's look at the replay.
Yeah, and what's crazy about that is I think the call's right. I think that is a fumble. I think he made a football move. But even if he didn't, that would have been an interception.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness.
Brown made the hit. Waddell comes up with the fumble recovery.
Wow.
And again, another opportunity for Boston to go up 2 scores, and they're not able to do it because of a fumble.
Golly.
And, yeah, so a couple turnovers starting to plague Boston here. Still with a 7-point lead, and the defense playing good. Kane with a loss of 1. Man.
We talked about how important the turnover battle was going to be. And hopefully Boston is able to shake that turnover bug off their back and clean it up a little bit, because Dakota West hasn't thrown a pick, if I'm not mistaken. It's just been fumbles.
No, has not. G to G again for the first down. Hey, you give these guys enough time, they're going to get it rolling again.
Yep, they are, without a doubt. And Michael Goodman looking as good as ever. Jordan Goodman, despite the scoreboard, it really hasn't felt like they've had as good of a performance as they usually do. And that's just because their other performances are so electric. And not often do you see them down by 21, but Jordan Goodman is playing dang near perfect football right now.
If 111 reception yards is a bad day, boy, what does that tell you? One-handed and just loose. Knocked loose. Again, that was Rivers out on that wide receiver route, and a good hit delivered by Morgan Brown.
Yeah, and some people may be watching and think, how could that be a bad game? You look at Michael Goodman's game from last week, Cameron. He had 267 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. And it's not a bad game at all. It's just the feeling of it is just different, and you expect them to click a lot more, and they're gonna continue to click, without a doubt.
Yeah, almost a whole 2 quarters left to play here. Goodman throwing, drops it off short. Not much there, but they will get a couple. That was Goodman on the catch as well, and that's going to set us up here for a 3rd and 7.
Yeah, and we talked about it so much. It's they don't see the if you're in New York, I imagine when they're in practice and in games, they kind of just wipe the and part of the downage just completely away. It's just like, okay, it's 3rd. Forget the yardage. And that time, didn't work.
Yeah, not able to on that 3rd down play, looking for G2G again. I'm telling you what, that is so interesting. That a good point that you made. It's a very something they pride themselves on. Let's put it that way here in New York, able to overcome any kind of obstacle on 3rd down. And another credit to this Boston defense, because New York has not had an answer for the Boston defense right now. I mean, this is the 4th straight drive that they've not been able to get to the end zone. 3 of them have ended in punts. The other one, they just quietly went into the half.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I could definitely be wrong, because I can't remember for sure on the first fumble, but that second time they fumbled, they've been able to stop the points off of turnovers from New York. They had the fumble earlier, and if I'm not mistaken, they were able to stop them on the returning drive, and they were able to again there, and just a really good showing from the Boston defense. We know they're good. Yeah. But are you good enough to stop the New York passing attack? And so far, they're doing a good job of it.
Again, New York playing from a position that they're not always in. Nice run on 1st down by Bismarck, and that's going to continue here. Look at Cartwright.
The tiny dude out there.
Yeah. We don't see much of Cartwright coming off the bench.
Yeah, and I could see why, probably, because you have some really, really big backs, and I mean not huge backs, 6 foot, for Wright and Norwest, and 5'11" for Brewer, but certainly bigger than Cartwright. But we're nonetheless able to chug along for the first.
This time, Duff at the line, nowhere to go, thanks to Brogan Speraw, 2nd and 10.
And Speraw, he's quietly had a really good season. In this series at least, he's 2nd leading in tackles for the squad with 15 in amongst their 2 games, and he's really quietly become a really, really good centerpiece for this New York defense.
2nd and 10, running right, and not much there for Brewer, who actually has had a quiet night so far in this game.
Yeah, he has, and now it's another 3rd and long on the other side. New York hoping they can get the ball back and push it down the field for some points, but you got to stop them first.
Yep, 3rd and 8 here. 4:50 remaining in the 3rd. Good protection. West throwing almost intercepted. Boy, that was close, and I just have this feeling that number 26 there, who is actually, I believe, a non-contracted player, had that one all over his hands, not able to bring it in.
Yep, just another situation of unable to hold on to the interception, and that's why they get paid to be on the defense, and not on the offense because hands just not as surefire. But nonetheless, a big play to stop the first down and give your offense another shot to go back down the field.
So 1st and 10 coming up here for New York. Cameron Duty with DJ Kilgannon and Alex West at SFLM headquarters. Your time is now, folks, to get your voice on the call. If you want to have as much fun as we are, you're looking at a couple people who just love doing what they do. And we're looking for passionate SFL participants to join our broadcast team for the continuation of the SFLM Season 10. So please visit simfl.net/broadcasting for more details how you can get involved and be a part of one of the biggest difference makers in the future of SFL action as that pass goes incomplete.
Yeah, so as this game kind of dwindles down and they keep throwing to Goodman more and more, it seems like in those man-to-man looks, Cameron, that Showtime Hatsis is really the matchup for Jordan Goodman. And I think that's going to be our key matchup we're going to have to try and keep a close eye on going forward.
Throwing short. We've seen that route a couple of times where he's tried to check it off to Jennings. That time they were not able to connect, and it's 3rd and 10.
Yeah, firing to Needfelt there, and you have the two over the middle routes, and maybe some confusion there. It looked like it was a pretty accurate throw, unable to be hauled in, and that can happen sometimes when you have those conflicting routes.
3rd and 10 for Goodman. Again, they've been faced with 3rd down a lot, and there's a connection. Needfelt. And you know what? There was Needfelt who had the first touchdown of the game. Really not been able to go back to Carroll since.
Yeah, and now that they're starting to, getting some more open space, they had the miss just on the last play to Needfelt, and they say they're not going to let it happen twice, and Carroll Needfelt holds on to that one, and yeah, you kind of see the splits, and more often than not, this New York team is really dominant over the middle of the field, and you're seeing it again on that stat.
1st and 10, 4 minutes remaining in the 3rd. Someone to talk about is Needfelt, who has came on in just such a good way after being a week 2 signing. As this season has continued, really someone great to put across from Michael Goodman there to just kind of give Jordan Goodman somebody else to look for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Throwing deep, and look at this. They finally get him broke free. It's a race to the end zone. They're not going to catch him. Touchdown, G2G. Once again, we're 1 point away from being tied.
There we go. It was only a matter of time. And that is not often a play you're going to see. Michael Goodman beating the cruise missile off of the press and was able to slip past him. I mean, like I said, you're not going to see that a whole lot. Hudson Cruz, one of the best in the league, but if you're going to man up with Michael Goodman the whole game, eventually he's going to break one off like we just saw there.
As the extra point here is good, it's so interesting. I mean, it almost felt to me, and you tell me, we've not talked about this off air, DJ, but it almost felt like you're waiting on them to come back and get that deep ball, to get that home run.
Oh, yeah.
It really wasn't a if, it was really like when.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, we saw it with that first play to Carroll Needfelt, right? I think that's a really good parlay into it. You had just talked about it earlier with that after that first touchdown had kind of been quiet, and it was another one of those looks where Carroll Needfelt kind of just broke past the side and was gone. And that's something that's just going to happen with those 5 wide looks, that if you go into a man-to-man, somebody's going to get open with that many receivers.
Yeah, incredible. And so for Boston now, they got to figure out how to get back in the end zone. We did talk about this. We mentioned that this team is a team that comes out explosive in the first halves, and then sometimes the points can kind of start to dwindle or the game gets away from them, late in the 3rd and the 4th quarter. Now's their time to prove different here with 2nd and 3 coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if they kind of go back to another fullback run or one of those off off tackle runs that they've kind of been known to go to. And no, and it right behind the fullback and gain a first. And yeah, they're doing a really good job of mixing it up.
Yeah, Lenore West with a solid carry there. 2:53 and counting in this third quarter.
Man, it feels like she's had way more yards than that. I don't know about you, Cameron.
It does. You are exactly right on that, DJ. It did feel that way. Of course, they did a good job of giving everybody some touches. There is one for Brewer for a 3-yard gain. Interesting to see them come out, maybe kind of surprisingly conservative here on this drive.
Yeah, I mean, conservative definitely, and maybe that was part of the adjustments they made at the half to try and take a more conservative look. And I'm not sure if I
Well,
completely agree with it as we see that big play for a loss.
yeah, lucky that was only a loss of 1 as Kano
Yeah.
Fortson able to drag the halfback down. And 3rd and 8 here. And, you know, they were certainly doing it right. First, second quarters, it was keep your foot on the gas. Changed the things a little bit here. Hard to keep that pace. Incomplete. And they actually had Hightower open in the middle, but West went the other way, and it's 4th and 8.
Yeah, it's going to happen sometimes that you don't see those guys. I mean, sometimes you have those, order of routes you take. It's like, you'll have a play come onto the field, especially with that many receivers out there. You're like, all right, your first look is to look at this guy. If he's not open, look at this guy, then this guy. And sometimes you kind of get, toned in on that one guy. It's like, okay, that's my read. Let's try and go there. And I think that's probably what we saw there. And got to try and shake that off and try and, follow through your reads and kind of see who's open. Because if that would have happened, like you said, Hightower was wide open.
Lazardi with that punt return for a couple yards, getting it out to the 21-yard line for the Gargoyles. 1:46 remaining. Look at this worn turf here. I mean, these gridiron gladiators have played a heck of a game to this point. And now New York feeling like they may be in the driver's seat here to get back out front. Jordan Goodman to throw short. Oh, that could have easily been intercepted there with William Patterson in on that one. It's incomplete. 2nd and 10.
Yeah, Patterson, Cameron, he's one of the guys that every time I see him on the field, even if he doesn't make a play, he's always giving it his all, always diving for a attempted incompletion, always where he needs to be, always making big plays. And, he's pretty silently this year had a really, really nice campaign for Boston, and he is one of the keystones of this defense.
Duncan on him there, number 96, converting from outside linebacker to inside linebacker. Either way, Mr. Onim can do some good things. As you mentioned, Patterson as well. Onim is one of those that also quietly puts in the work too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
3rd and 10, minute 37 left in this third quarter as we start to see motion now from Lazardi.
Love that motion there.
We'll see what Goodman can do with it. Rolling out, turns around, throws deep, finding guess who?
Wow.
Michael Goodman. It never gets old for him, and certainly for these New York fans. I mean, what a connection. More 8 out of 10 times you can't stop that.
Yeah, and I really like the motion call there on that play. The motion, I think it was Lazardi across the formation, and it kind of shows that to Jordan Goodman that it's not a man look. That there's going to be zones played, and that's just a zone beater, that play.
Kane turning sideways to get through a small seam in the line. I mean, literally made himself skinny there. Gain of 4. We're under a minute left in this third quarter.
Yeah, and, a shout out to the offensive lines of both squads. They have done a really, really good job of giving on both sides of the ball, giving their QBs a lot of time to, find the open man downfield.
Tough sled in there, and they just weren't much as a 3rd and 7. Now coming back up, that was Dillon off the bench with the carry.
And something we don't talk about too much, Cameron, is these guys in the minor leagues, they're all playing with one goal. Of course they want to win the SFLM championship at the end of the season, right? But they want to make it into the major leagues, and they want to have an impact on the teams that they, eventually go to.
Yeah. Speaking of an impact, Carol Needfelt as we said, last couple of weeks have really came on, and it's certainly on a lot of people's radar.
Yeah, absolutely has, and really blown up recently, and been a really nice, twin look to Goodman, and just a really nice number two. And there's a lot of really good players that are just trying to make their mark and prove that they can do it at that second level, and we're seeing it a lot right now.
Down to the final stanza, folks, or so we think. Fourth quarter on the way, all tied up at 28. You're watching the SFLM on the Virtual Football Network. How's it going out there, folks? Cameron Duty, DJ Kilgannon. Let us know in the chat if you're having a fun time, at least as much fun as we are. And the exciting part is, folks, there's more football coming up. We'll talk about the next broadcast in just a minute. Kane bounces off a defender and is stopped. Golly, absolutely is the right word for it, my friend. He gets leveled by Baron Went.
Yeah, two really hard hits in the same play. Thankfully for Kane, able to break off the first one and take it upfield. But Baron Went definitely was not holding back with a really hard hit, like you said.
Coming up after this, folks, at 8:30, Philadelphia Cougars travel to San Jose to face the Flight. And I can tell you what, I'll be there to watch that one when this thing is over. And you're doing the double on that one too, aren't you, DJ?
I am, yes sir, I am.
So you once again, now this is going to be, now last week he was on the jet. You know, you went from, what was it, Boston to Philadelphia? You got to go from New York to San Jose tonight, my friend. I'm going to let you get out of here quick. As Goodman having to scramble on third down. It's going to bring up fourth down. Yeah, this Boston defense, again, they are no joke right now. Doing a good job.
Yeah, and another stop and able to get the ball back. And, it was a key point at the beginning of this broadcast, Cameron, that stopping New York come the second half is going to be huge. And only letting one touchdown up in the second half right now is Boston. And oh my goodness. What a hit.
That knocked him back for a safety there. That's Dillon, the third string halfback. Hightower able to hold on to that one. And they'll spot him at the 4. And Boston will have to start in the shadow of their own end zone.
Yeah, this might be scary here for Boston. And with how well they're running, I expect to see a run up the middle from Lenore, but see what they decide to cook up.
It looks like pressure coming instead. Oh, yeah, well, they go right side, not up the middle. They did give it to Lenore. Grackleflint gets there in a hurry, and it's 2nd and 9.
Yeah, and, we can see that coming and what they should do just as much as the New York defense can. They're expecting a run. They're going to send the house to stop it, and probably another one we're going to see here with a pretty heavy box for New York.
Kleinecht in motion. Goes out wide, and they keep it on the ground. And 3rd and 9. I tell you what, if Boston cannot convert here, now this is a huge play because, there is no contracted kicker. Let's keep that in mind for Boston. So the punt probably going to be relatively short. If they can't convert, New York's going to have prime real estate.
So now if you're here, Cameron, do you think you try and go for the big play and maybe leave up a safety on the board, or do you run it like we see?
I got to try to take a shot. West, in my opinion, playing too good today, with Friesen and Hightower. I know Friesen hasn't been the same since the injury has kind of distorted his vision there, but still, I don't feel running it 3 times on third is what you want to do. And you see Barker back here with the heels on the white line.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Cameron. It's a matter of, the first 2 times you try and run it and nothing really works, right? And when it comes to that third down, what's another run really going to get you besides got them 2 extra yards? The only other thing it's getting you is just security that they're not going to get a sack and force a safety, which they certainly did. Took the safe route and punted it away. And, I mean, even with the extra 2 yards, still going to be on their own opposite side of the field as New York.
Yeah, so, I mean, beautiful field position for New York here, starting at the 38-yard line of the Boston Rebels. This could change this game, folks. Play clock down to 5, a very integral part of this game you're seeing in front of you. Nothing underneath, just able to get it off. That's just great discipline, great coverage by Morgan Brown. Carroll not able to do anything with that reception.
Yeah, unable to. And, New York, I'm kind of surprised that they're not taking too many big shots like we'd seen, in the first half. And being on this side of the field, maybe they're trying to take a more methodical look.
Well, there's a nice one to the fullback again, Kojiro
Again, yeah.
Rivers. And it feels like they have found a home for Rivers with
Mhm.
this set here, able to really utilize him.
This is going to be maybe a wild comparison to make, but Kojiro Rivers, kind of how they're using him in the pass game right now, is reminding me kind of Tiberius Bovine in
Oh yeah.
OKC. They really like to get him involved in the pass game, and Kojiro, that's another pass over the middle of the field, and before this game, we really hadn't seen that all season.
Red zone formation here. Also important to remember as we see Carol Neesvet with one of the best grabs of the night. Obviously, that big reception will be her best, but now I'd have to give that second best there with that little leaping grab along the goal line.
Yeah, for sure. And just making the athletic play. And it's so hard to make a play like that, knowing that you're about to get hit in the back
Yeah.
from the safety.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It is important to remember here, if for some reason they were to be stopped, not able to get in the end zone, they are certainly well within range of a field goal, even from a non-contracted kicker.
Yep.
New York here, though, wanting to really make Boston have to push forward. The throw, one-handed. Oh, my goodness. Touchdown, New York. S.C. Meagle, the Week 6 signing.
Very nice. And I had the pleasure of calling his, I think we might have, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember if you were on the call for me or if it was Colin on that one last week, but
I think it was Colin.
Okay, that's what I thought. S.C. Meagle, it didn't have too much of an impact, but I mean, had a solid one in his debut, and now they're going to him in the end zone. A really nice look, and Jordan Goodman had plenty of spots to throw that one. I saw on the left side of the field that they had one of their backs go out for a flat route and was pretty open as well. And Goodman finding the open man regardless and able to convert in the red zone.
Well, Meagle with the biggest play of his career, certainly. Good composure, one-handed grab, little style points there. Most importantly, though, gives his team the lead as we've got, I think it's Hightower back on that return. Yes, it is. Brings it out to the 30. So for Boston here, you got 5:42 remaining. Honestly, DJ, when you look at it, they could really take a big chunk of this clock, be very methodical here if they can. You'd almost expect them to try to drain this clock and not give it back to New York if they can make it happen.
Yeah, I think they're going to take that approach in a pretty run-heavy set here, and it's a really good mentality to have. If you're going to score, you don't want New York to have too much time with the ball.
Running right side, that's Bismarck. Or no, Lenore, I apologize. Lenore, like you said, 38 carries just a couple of snaps ago. Definitely over the 40-yard mark by now, and a touchdown. But it does feel like they've kind of reined her in pretty well today.
Absolutely. Done a really good job of, parlaying the run and pass offense.
Back to the ground game. So ground heavy this second half. 3rd and 3. It's really kind of surprising because of just the spark that Boston did come out with, DJ. Almost felt like they were going to go the route of New York and just keep it on the arm of West the entire game, but a more conservative route here.
Yeah, definitely changing it up come halftime. And I don't hate the adjustment. I really don't.
3rd and 3. That's
there's
a great
Cartwright.
play. Yep, there's Cartwright again. And just a great little carry by the little guy.
Yeah, my goodness. And runs over the defender too. And it's not a bad idea coming out to the to try and run the ball. Boston has a great young running core with Lenore and Jacob Brewer, Bismarck Wright coming down as reinforcements, but not to mention they have a really solid O-line as well. Demon Pickle and Porsche Henson got brought down as reinforcements, and in my opinion, Cameron, they have, I'd argue, a top 5. Of course, we're not going to have a draft upcoming this season, but certainly one of the top acquisitions going to be coming from Boston. Oliver Tarask is a stud at that left tackle, and if I'm not mistaken, is up in the 90s as far as rating in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, stud's the right way to put it for that 6'7", 350-pound man, a beast, if you will. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, so talented. And like you said, look at that, paving the way as well on a lot of these runs you're seeing here. So far, moving past midfield, a good methodical drive here by Boston.
Yeah, back to it.
Yeah, back to it again. That time the defense able to read it a little bit better. Now we see no huddle, 2nd and 8.
Yeah, here we go. Looks like they're going to try and keep the pace high.
Throw it one-handed
Oh!
to Kleinecht, and he's able to bring it in. No huddle. Got to be real careful here. West over 300 yards. That's great. Got to be careful here, though. Throwing complete. Now you got to worry about leaving too much time here.
Yeah, they found a look they like, and they're trying to take advantage of it while they have it.
They're coming and hits. Bounce. Falls to the ground. Man, that could have been an interception. The big number 91 there on the pressure, Kano Fortson.
Yeah, Fortson and Speraw just sandwiched Dakota West on that throw. My goodness. You know, made that one look like a duck in duck season, just falling to the ground, and golly, that had to have hurt.
Talk about getting your bell rung.
Yeah, no joke.
2nd and 10 coming up. West to throw to the end zone. Bobbled. Had another attempt at it, but not able to bring it in, Django West. And it's 3rd and 10. Real quick here, DJ. In the chat, Frank Doom mentioned that Oliver Tarask is a 91 overall right now.
My goodness. Whatever team picks him up is going to be thriving with him at left tackle.
Here we go. 3rd and 10. 2:50 remaining in this game. West throwing. End zone. Touchdown. Can you believe it? It's Joey Hightower again, and we're a point away from being tied.
Cameron, I don't know about you, but I just got deja vu. That's almost the exact same touchdown that we saw earlier. Same route, same throw over the same defenders right to where Joey Hightower could reach it. Dakota West knows what works and going back to it again. And if they make this extra point, gonna tie it. And maybe you're right, Cameron. Maybe they should have let goodness gracious, maybe let a few more seconds or minutes churn off the clock. They scored pretty quick.
The extra point is good. It really picked up right around midfield, an 11-play drive that really in total only lasted 3 minutes, leaving 2:48 remaining in the 4th. And, you know, but it's really hard to not take advantage of something you find.
Yeah,
absolutely. You know? And so for Boston here, now you got to rely on your defense. And we'll see what kind of return they can get here. Out to the 32 for Lizardi. And all right, you got Goodman to Goodman here. You know they're going to be looking that way. But don't forget about Carroll Needfelt. Couple touchdowns on the day. So what do you do here, DJ? I mean, let's put you in the coach's seat for a minute.
You know, if I'm New York, I'm going pedal to the metal. I think with the drive we just saw from Boston, that they want to take a more methodical look on offense. And what do I know? Because they're going to come out with a run on the first play. And, you know, maybe they're going to do what Boston didn't and try and chew a little bit of clock before they eventually try and find the end zone. But if I'm New York, I think I go, you know, pedal to the metal and try and score ASAP.
On 2nd and 9 here, going to be interesting to see, you know, the mentality here. And incomplete. So forced with a 3rd and 9. Goodman, you know, not able to connect on that one with Goodman. This is a big play right here. Not to overestimate or not to like sound dramatic or anything, DJ, but you know what this could mean if they can't get this conversion here. Then Boston's back in the driver's seat.
Yeah, and it's certainly back to that 5 wide that we've seen. And yeah, I mean you're right, Cameron. This is a huge play, you know, to shape out the rest of this one.
If they're going to go down, they're going to go down 5 wide. 3rd and 9 coming up here for New York. As Jordan Goodman delivers, and again, too much space that time for Michael Goodman towards the middle of the field. You see where it's so wore out, right? That's because Goodman has spent so much time cutting up field right here and making those plays all night.
Yeah, and Cameron, I don't know about you, but there's a pattern to this New York offense, and
Yeah.
I mean it's a lot easier to see it from the booth rather than on the field, but it's consistent. On third down, they go 5 wide. They motion a man to the other side of the field to try and bait out and see what the defense is running. They did it there. They motioned Lazardi across, and no man follows him. That means it's zone more often than not, and they attack the zone again like they've done all night.
2 minutes remaining in what, for Boston, one of their best overall games. Now, trying to stop this New York Gargoyles offense from reaching the end zone one more time, throwing deep.
Oh.
It was wide open, and can you believe it? Goodman was not able to bring that one in. You know he'll get another shot at it before it's over, but that's kind of a jaw-dropping moment.
Yeah, no joke. What happened there? Maybe some very rare miscommunication from father and son, because that was a good throw. It seems Goodman just turned around right as the ball was kind of going over his head. You don't see that a whole lot.
Now, keep an eye on Michael Goodman on the bottom of the screen. You know he's going to want to try to get some retribution for that one, and he does.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
Yep.
You're not going to see that 2 times in a row. So Jordan just looks his way again and gets the reception to Michael. 1st and 10. Clock running, 1:41. And you know what they're doing here, DJ? They want to be the last one to take a swing at it before a potential overtime.
Yeah, they want to be the last ones to have the ball. An ideal world for New York right now. They score with 0-0 left on that clock. But you can't be too careful. You still need points.
1st and 10. And a handoff.
Ooh.
And nothing there. 2nd and 11. So there you go. They give it to Kane. That kind of shows you they're not very concerned about the time left on the scoreboard. Obviously, really, why would you be? And it's 2nd and 11.
And you got a minute. We know New York can do it, but right now they're out of field goal range. Especially without a contract kicker.
If you haven't smashed that like button yet, why haven't you? This is great football action. Reeling it in is Michael Goodman. And that's what I'm talking about, folks. The only kind of action you can find around here, I mean, you won't find quality football like this simulation anywhere else. 410 yards for Goodman today. Clock still running.
Interested to see if they run or pass here.
28 seconds and counting. Keep an eye on it. Goodman throwing off his back foot. Finding Gojiro Rivers. Oh, my goodness, 21 seconds, and we're going to get a timeout here to kind of regroup and think about it. This is what we were thinking here. Now, if anything, you know, New York field goal range for their non-contracted kicker, you're going to have to, if you're Boston, force something big to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And New York right now, going into this last little set of plays, there's not a whole lot of time. I think they have to try and just run a little bit more clock. You have to. We know they can score on the pass. We know they can. You just got to chew off just a smidge more clock to be comfortable.
1st and goal. Goodman throwing short to Rivers at the 5. Another timeout called.
Yeah, that'll work just as well. If you're not going to run it, a little pass to the flats is just as good.
You know, they certainly want to take some shots to the end zone. I think they respect this Boston defense, though, and the game that they have played. And when you're in a position to kick a field goal here, you know, you don't want to push too hard.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Cameron. There's a very fine line of, you know, being aggressive and throwing in these scenarios and just ill-advised play calling, because if they were to throw an interception, that'd be backbreaking.
Here we go, and there was almost what we were talking about possibly happening. One hand away from the cruise missile getting an interception as we start to see the kicker there on the sidelines warming up.
Yeah, and there's another one of those matchups that we see so often. Hudson Cruz just in cruise control right there on that display of coverage and just unable to haul it in. And if he would have, that would have been game-changing.
3rd and goal. Wouldn't it be something if this game that had so many touchdowns ends in a field goal?
It definitely would. And they're at 5 wide. I don't know about you, Cameron. I don't like this.
Yeah, not feeling too good about this formation. 4 to the bottom, 1 to the top. But we'll see what they can do here. Goodman throwing end zone, and what do I know?
What do we
Touchdown, and
know?
that's Lazzardi, the week 6 signing, 6'4", 220 pounds. Welcome to the SFLM.
Yeah, and what do we know? That's exactly right. These guys in New York, they know what they're doing.
They do.
They're not 4-2 for nothing.
Not Michael Goodman, not Carroll Needfelt, but Ivan Lazzardi. The last 2 plays, or touchdown plays, SC Meagle and Ivan Lazzardi, the 2 week 6 signings, making it happen. New York in the lead, 42-35. Goodness gracious, what a squad. And with 8 seconds remaining, DJ,
An absolute
Boston.
miracle.
Yep.
And
Well, I mean, you know, hey, Frank Doom mentioned the Miami-Boston College game.
we've seen crazier things.
7
Hopefully
seconds.
able to go down with time.
Yep.
Oh, goodness.
Still on his feet. Oh, that Cruz almost brought that one back. So that does put them in field, or at least, Hail Mary range here.
Yeah, it does for sure. And that one for a second, that was looking scary for New York. But now Boston, we've seen crazier things. Everybody here has. And Dakota West going to have a miracle. Everyone on the sideline of Boston crossing their fingers. We know what's coming. Let's just see if they can convert.
2 seconds remaining from the 41-yard line. What can Dakota West do? Throwing, still got Clinic running, but just too short, not enough there. Hoping to have some more space in the middle of the field. And Boston is going to lose a heartbreaker. New York will win in a thriller, literally winning their 3rd game against Boston this season. And that's going to do it. 42-35. The Gargoyles put another one in the win column.
They do, and I mean, you said it. Just such a thriller, high offensive showcase from both squads. What more could you ask for a rivalry game? Easily the best matchup we've had between the two, the closest game, and wow, just so exciting, literally to the last play.
Agreed. And look at this time of possession. Boston beat New York in time of possession.
Wow.
Excuse me. And, you know, what a tip of the hat to Boston. The game that they played, the way they have learned to play this New York team. In the end, it was Goodman spreading the ball around. I think everybody had a touchdown reception on that wide receiving core except for Kingfield. And in the end, yeah, Boston coming up short. New York with the victory. DJ, I'll let you go catch that flight. Folks, at 8:30, Philadelphia at San Jose. You're going to get a great crew there for that one. That's going to be Brett Killian and DJ Kilgannon for Alex West and my buddy DJ. My name is Cameron Duty. Thank you for being a part of this broadcast. We truly enjoyed it. We will see you next time. You're watching the SFL on YouTube on the Virtual Football Network.